Welcome to the city part of London. Or specific, just the city. May well be based on something real, but I fear our guided tour of London may be taking a bit of a hiatus for this video. The original The Getaway, this is not. The Getaway might actually be a more obscure reference than Nightmare Creatures these days. What with the new Nightmare Creatures game coming out? Oh, and in case you wanted to input 1,000 buttons, here's a new combo, the backflip kick. But I don't really want to talk about that combo just yet. Right now, I'm more interested in the combo Nadia learned last level, called Divide and Conquer. Begins simple enough. X plus forward X is a combo we've seen before, the gymnast strike. This time, however, it is followed up by a 2-button input, which is always a problem, but this 2-button input is X and triangle. Opposite buttons on the controller. This makes it completely impossible to press both at the same time without pressing more buttons in between unless you wrap your index finger around the controller and press both buttons at the same time that way. I've tried that about 100 times myself and it still didn't work because the combo is listed incorrectly in the game. The final input should be X and square at the same time, then the combo will work. Mercifully, the N64 version does display the correct combo, so now we know how to do it, and it actually is quite a good combo. And back in the city, I'm trying to demonstrate the backflip kick, but it never seems to work. The final 2 inputs always get dropped. Combos are weird, you have to do all the inputs all at the same time, even before the first animation ends, so it gets awkward to get used to, and that one just doesn't seem to work for me. But there is Divide and Conquer, working wonders for me. Love that new combo. Certain combos do require you to actually hit an enemy with them for them to work. But the backflip kick is not one of them. I have managed to successfully perform it twice, with no target, just for practice. I think if I get better at the Divide and Conquer, it'll become Nadia's equivalent to Ahab's Revenge. Use it a lot more for dissection purposes, because it's a lot of fun. She's still got the super effective Feet of Fury combo, but it gets a bit old after all these missions. Oh, distant sounds of a dying horse. And an unfortunate recording error. We lost about 5 seconds of this spider beating the hell out of me. Don't know how we'll live without that. Over here is the source of those equine death wails. A werewolf who misheard an old cliche and is eating a dead horse. He's managed to sneak behind us, which is an uncommon problem in this game, but it actually has a solution. Each of our characters has one attack that goes backwards. Almost completely useless in the N64 version when the characters automatically track their targets, but has some use here in the PlayStation. Almost no polygons on that horse corpse. That's the most tragic thing of all. But here we have a new enemy type. These are the Faceless Men. They look and behave very similarly to zombies, but they don't get chopped up the way zombies do. And they can defend themselves surprisingly well with some very quick attacks. They're said to be former members of the Brotherhood of Hecate, who betrayed the Brotherhood much like Samuel Pepys did. Now they no longer tolerate such behavior, and they forcibly feed them the virus, which doesn't turn them into monsters, just turns them into zombie men. Who knows why. Oh, and there's the skull we picked up. Getting them legitimately now. We originally got one back in the first level as a bonus prize on the N64 version. Then we promptly lost it to a corrupted save. Now perhaps we'll get to see what they do. We'll see that much of this city level is covered in spider webs, because it is infested with spiders, of course. So that skull is called the Chaos Spell. What it'll do is make enemies attack one another. for a limited period of time. It's basically the opening cutscene from the N64 version, except we can do it ourselves. It's pretty neat. It has very, very limited use because they don't throw groups of enemies at us very often, and I'm pretty sure it will not make enemies of the same type attack each other. So those two spiders would have been unaffected. They would have just kept on fighting us. Here I am, stuck on a lamp pole. Had to jump back or else I couldn't move. Another faceless man. That was the backflip kick. I was momentarily stunned when I first accomplished that. Did not expect it to happen, and it'll probably never happen again. But it looked really cool. Oh, check this shit out too. This is a different window texture indicating an actual prize behind the window. It's like they wanted us to get that item or something. Saw that same texture earlier in the level, and why that isn't standard operating procedure throughout the entire game is truly baffling to me. And we gotta take out yet another spider before even more spiders jump in. Not even gonna go for the backflip kick anymore. Got my one on camera. More than I expected, honestly. Yeah, why do that when Divide and Conquer is so effective? And we stole his skull. Raises the question, are the spiders also mutated people, or are they mutated spiders? Are the werewolves mutated wolves? There's an upcoming enemy that we haven't met yet, that I'm almost certain was originally just an animal that, when affected with the virus, became a monster. So, who's to say what the other animal-inspired monsters originally were? I have lore questions. Maybe I should write Callisto. If they still exist. They probably still exist. Stole that spider's heart. You're gonna notice a few times here that the music will sort of chop in and out. I'm not sure why. That is an actual thing that happened when recording the level. It's not a recording glitch of any sort. Luckily, we've heard this track before. It's the Highgate Cemetery track. Could very easily go down that secret pathway there. Find some more spiders, obviously. We're not going to do that just yet. This is actually a very large and complicated level, and it can be easy to run out of enemies and then die from adrenaline loss. Certainly happened to me many, many times in my blind run. Had to open up the map constantly, and the map is surprisingly useless. Just random red lines on blackness. Doesn't really indicate much. There I did what I should have done immediately upon entering the room. Use the multi-gun. Nadia's animation is she just spins around and kills everything. It's very cool. Animations in this game are really top-notch for the generation. It's impressive. Another double spider fight. Once again, I let him get a few hits before I just wipe him out. So I like to play fair for some reason. Spiders don't. They like to drag hapless corpses into their lair and suck them dry. So dry, in fact, that they become two-dimensional. So we'll leave these poor bodies behind. Nothing we can do for them now. Time to get back on track. Keep in mind that switch that we flipped there. I'll call it the cave switch. And earlier in the level we flipped a switch at the end of a dead end. That was also important. In fact, much more important than the one we just flipped in the cave. But I'll explain both later. Like I said, the path in this level is really ridiculous and complicated. I'm making it look much easier than it actually is. Spider laid a little trap for us. And left behind 2D pile of skulls. Was also amused by that. That's more than enough amusement. Time to accidentally use another multi-gun. Complete waste, but it killed the guy. Second time we gotta use barrels to break down a wall so we can get through. This wall was apparently blocking off the infected part of town. It's actually optional to break down this wall, I'm now realizing. There is another way around it, and it involves that switch that we hid in the caves. But this way is much faster. A lot of enemies are hiding behind windows in this city area. So I gotta make sure to run around otherwise empty rooms to make sure they spawn in properly. Just so I can kill them. This part we might recognize, that gate with the spider behind it. That was opened up by the dead end switch. Then we got ambushed with a bunch of enemies, so time for chaos. Chaos reigns. And intentionally awaken the spider. Bring him in to do some extra killing. There we go. Almost identical to the N64 opening. Which, for the record, is randomly generated. You'll never see the same intro twice when you boot up the 64 version. I quite enjoy the Chaos spell. It's a damn shame that they really squandered the ability to incite infighting like that. Is a classic Nightmare Creatures wasted opportunity. But over here, it's Scimitar Time with another weapon upgrade. Just when Ignatius caught up, Nadia pulls ahead again. Still can't slice up spiders, though. And that was the final enemy in the level. So we don't yet know what we can slice up. Want to just run right past that collapse because we are activating those traps backwards. Here's the entrance that we saw earlier. We're supposed to go in that way. Then come around, get the weapon upgrade, and hit a dead end here, because this is where the gate that was opened by the cave switch is. It's really inefficiently laid out, such that I recommend just never splitting the zombies. Just knock them down so you can kill them multiple times and never have to worry about your adrenaline draining out, as it very likely will as you try to unravel the mystery of this ridiculous level. Having done just that, we come to the gates of the Bank of England.
Your useless quest is beginning to amuse me. I will enjoy watching you die.
Well, I hate to agree with the guy, but Crowley is right about two things there. That level was amusing and useless. As with all of our detours, we accomplished nothing because he beat us here and stole what we were looking for. This game's got such a complicated setup to its backstory and then virtually no plot throughout its entire playtime. So screw all that intrigue and looking for clues. Next time we're just going back on the hunt for Crowley.
Ha 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 ha!